Hello, school has started, high school, and recently college. And with this occasion, parents have emerged who believe that everyone should bow down to them and their offspring. In this post, I would like you to share stories or experiences, short or long, with entitled parents you have encountered, not necessarily during this period, and who have made you wonder, how does this person not have a red carpet in their ID? I can't wait to read the stories and marvel at how much audacity some people can have. Standing near a school, I have received many remarks, insults, or even threats just because I was passing by the streets where their children were. Stories about helicopter parents, or those with parents who think they are better than other parents and that their children are superior to other children are also welcome. In elementary school, I attended a school where we all had morning sessions, meaning we would meet with students from grades 0 to 4. Parents were not allowed to enter the schoolyard at all. They could only wait for their children at the gate to prevent anyone from entering the school and pretending to be parent of X. In my opinion, it was a very good rule. But of course, some clueless parents didn't understand it, so they would enter the schoolyard and wait for their children right at the school's door. We, the students, would go out for recess, and parents would literally form a circle around the door, so we had to squeeze through them to get outside. What's worse, many parents even entered the school because their children were too incapable of making it out to the schoolyard on their own. So, we had to deal with them in the hallways, and, of course, we were labeled as rude and troublemakers because we didn't let them inside and had to push past them in the hallways. The memorable incident was when one mother called me impolite, and I told her to wait at the school gate if she didn't like the fact that she couldn't enter. She got furious like the ultimate Karen and went to the first teacher she found. She came out with the teacher into the schoolyard and pointed at me while talking, but I was too far away to hear. The teacher nodded, the mother left, and the teacher just gave me a thumbs-up sign. When I was in elementary school, in a school where grades 1 to 4 had morning sessions and grades 5 to 8 had afternoon sessions, there were periods when the guard would keep the gate closed during the shift change to prevent us elementary school students from entering even 10 minutes before our classes started. Meanwhile, the schoolyard was filled with parents of students in grades 1 to 4. They allowed us to wait in the cold or on the snow in winter, and then, after about 5 minutes, they would open the gate, and we would all push our way in like animals. There was another main door, but it was only used by the teachers. I get a massive trigger when I hear about teachers' entrance. Being older, I completed my elementary school during Ceausescu's time, and back then, if we were caught at the teacher's entrance, in the hallway, on the stairs, or anywhere near it, we would get beaten. Period. Slaps, hair pulling, no explanations, no excuses. It continued until we grew older, in 8th grade, and they were afraid to mess with us because we moved around in groups of 3 or 4. Damn bastards. I had an experience at the veterinarian's office. I have a large dog, and I was waiting to go inside to get his annual vaccinations. The dog had a muzzle on. A woman comes up, asking if her 2-3-year-old daughter can pet the dog. I replied with a no because I've had bad experiences with idiots before. The dog is very gentle and well socialized, but if you try to hit him, as someone did once because they got scared, he will react with growling, which is completely logical. So, the woman insists, saying, "Come on, can't our little girl pet the dog? We have a dog at home too." Stupefied, I say, "So what? Please take your child." She says, "Oh, come on, nothing will happen." I couldn't believe we were having this conversation. "Ma'am," I said, "no. Take your child. He has a muzzle on, but he weighs 50 kilograms. And if by accident your child touches him, things could go badly." She stays quiet and doesn't take her child away. In fact, the little girl gets even closer to the dog. I look at the woman, expecting her to take her child away from there. She just smiles foolishly, as if saying, "See, nothing is happening." I got extremely annoyed and raised my voice. "Lady, am I talking to myself? Take your child away from me." Very offended, she starts yelling that I'm rude. The veterinarian hears this, comes out of the office, and the woman rushes to tell him about the recalcitrant client she's dealing with. The vet cuts her off, saying, "I heard the conversation. He asked you several times not to let your child approach. I don't understand why you insisted. Some dogs can be traumatized and become aggressive. If the person who knows the dog says no, why do you keep pushing? If he's aggressive, then don't take him out of the house," she says. I reply, Well, he's not. Otherwise, no one would come near him. She finally goes outside, saying, "I won't be buying pet food here anymore." I found the whole situation unreal. This woman simply thought that the rest of us were at her and her child's disposal. If her child had gotten scared and the dog had reacted, it would have still been my fault, even though I told her not to approach. I get really frustrated by these situations too. My hair stands on end when I see a child approaching my dog. My dog is not aggressive at all. At least, not so far. But he's scared of children. He runs in the opposite direction when a child approaches or starts to get anxious and bark, but he doesn't bare his teeth or anything. And I'm afraid he might start jumping and knock the child down. He jumps on strangers if they pay attention to him, and circles around them and acts all playful, so sometimes he gets tangled in the leash. Countless times during walks, we've encountered parents with children who would say, "Come on, go pet him, look how cute he is," without asking anything beforehand. And when I say no, they look at me as if it's their constitutional right to pet my dog. I was at the wheel, waiting for the traffic light to turn green, when the driver behind me started honking the horn. There was no ambulance or police car with sirens on, and there was no reason for me to cross the intersection before the light turned green. I continued to wait, and at one point, the driver behind me got out of his car and came to tell me that the lady behind him had a crying child, and we needed to move forward to let her through. Before I could come up with a response, the light turned green, and the helpful gentleman had to rush back to his car. I drove ahead, still not believing that the lady in question expected me to run a red light and risk losing my license for her child, who could have waited for another 2 to 3 minutes. I was peacefully sleeping with my partner in bed, somewhere around 7 a.m. when the garbage truck came down my one-way street, with space for only one car because, people park wherever they want. Behind the garbage truck, there comes a lady who realizes she's blocked by it, so she decides to do what any mature person behind the wheel would do. She laid on the horn for a full minute, waking up the entire neighborhood, complaining that her child was going to be late for school. I calmly went to the fridge, grabbed an egg, and despite being half blind because I had just woken up, I managed to hit her car's windshield perfectly. I couldn't fall back asleep after that. Had an extremely tough day, and exhaustion got the best of me. But oh, how that egg must have felt on her windshield. I have 3 kids. 1 in middle school, 1 in elementary school, and 1 in kindergarten. I've noticed that parental hysteria is at its peak in grades 0 and 4. Then it gradually starts to decrease, but doesn't completely disappear. I choose to tell you the most unreal incident I've witnessed because I could have thousands. It was the only parent-teacher meeting I attended. My child was in the 3rd grade. Last year, to be precise. The teacher was looking for ideas for the end-of-year celebration, and one of the moms suggested that we, the parents, should learn some poems and songs to perform in front of the children. I thought she was joking, but soon all the moms decided it was the best idea. And since I was the only dad in the room, one of them assured me that I could play Prince Charming if my wife couldn't participate. I didn't attend any more meetings after that, and I won't be attending any in the future. In the dog enclosure, a lady casually opens the gate and pushes her child inside, leaving herself outside. She's calmly explained that, animals usually don't like little children, and wouldn't it be better to keep him on the other side of the fence to watch the puppies? But she insists that it's okay because she has a child and a dog at home. This leaves all of us dumbfounded. I put my dog on a leash. Others, more daring, do not. The child wanders erratically from one dog to another until one of them growls at him, and he starts crying. The brave mom finally enters the enclosure, pulls her child out, and proceeds to curse all of us for not properly training our dogs. "Yes, ma'am. Mine will start kindergarten next year when he turns 6. Please, have some patience." We were doing exercises, sports in a park with a friend, near a playground. We weren't on the slide or swings, but we were in the area. In Harristrow Park. There were 2 more playgrounds within a 200-meter distance, and they were all empty. It was 9 in the morning. A mother with a young child, around 4 years old, approached us and ordered us to leave the area, claiming that as adults, we had no business being there. She said we were scaring her child. We tried to reason with her, saying we'd move elsewhere, made jokes about having young children ourselves and not scaring them, but nothing worked. She insisted that we had to leave. She even called 112, the emergency number, and told them exactly that there were 2 adults at the playground for children doing physical exercises and intimidating them. We shrugged it off, continued our workout, and she stood there, annoyed, watching us. Her child looked at her fearfully, and after an hour, we left. No police ever showed up. What a Karen.